All right, Caden, he sent me 3 problems, so let's go ahead and see if we can get some answers for these 3 problems for you. Let's look at this one here. This is the first one you sent me, question number 5. It says, on a road in the city, Roebling, the maximum speed is 50 miles per hour and the minimum speed is 20 miles per hour. We have to choose the correct answer. Okay, so I can't see the answers that are there, but let's go ahead and work through this. Obviously, this is the one that you must have picked, showing that it's incorrect. Let me show you why it's incorrect. Okay, so the graph is partly right, and your inequality statement there is partially correct, but we're missing something. So notice what the problem says. The maximum speed is 50 miles per hour. So that means that the speed on this road can be in between 20 and 50 miles per hour, but it can also include 20 miles per hour, and it can also include 50 miles per hour. So your statement here shows that it can be a speed that is really 21 to 49. Okay, so the way you have to change that is say that it is, you've got to put the equal sign underneath those inequality signs. So in other words, the statement needs to read 20 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 50. So x is in the middle because x represents the speed that's in between 20 and 50. But remember, it can include 20 and it can include 50. So that's why you have to make sure you put the equal sign there. For the graph, when you have an open circle like you see here, that means it does not include the numbers that that circle is sitting on. Well, we just indicated that it does in fact include 20 miles per hour as well as 50 miles per hour. So those little circles need to be filled in. That's correct for stating that your inequality statement includes 20 and it includes 50. Okay, so I hope that's clear. That would be your answer right there. Next one that you sent was, I'm not sure which order you sent them to me in, so let's just go ahead and tackle this one here. All right, so this one is one of those problems where you kind of have to write up an equation deciphering the statement that's given to you. So let's read it quickly and then we'll go through it and decipher it. So the difference of 5 times a number and 9 is greater than the number minus 2. Well, first of all, I want this number right here. We're just going to call that x. So when we're writing out our inequality statement, and I know it's an inequality statement because we see is greater here. So we're going to have the greater sign there. All right, so we're talking about the difference of something. Well, what is the difference? The difference means subtraction, right? So I'm going to put a little subtraction sign above there just to kind of help us see what's going on here. So the difference of what? Well, the difference of 5 times a number. How do I write that? 5 times my number, which I said is x. So there's how we write 5 times a number. And then the difference is between 5 times a number and 9. So the difference, remember, is subtraction. So the difference between 5x and 9, okay, is what? Right here we said is greater than, greater than is right here. Greater than what? The number, which we said is what? X, so x minus 2. Okay, so when you set that up, and when you read through that and kind of decipher each little part of that statement, that's what you're going to come up with as your inequality statement. So let's go ahead and solve this now for x. Okay, so we're just going to start moving things around. I want to get my x's to the same side. So we'll get rid of it on the right-hand side and pull it over here. 5x minus x is 4x. I still have a minus 9 is greater than negative 2. Let's get these numbers, these integers together. We'll move the 9 over here because we're trying to isolate x. So now I have 4x is greater than 7. That's a 4. I would have to undo the multiplication of 4 and x by dividing by 4. That will isolate x for me. And my final answer then should be x is greater than 7/4. Now, I don't see your answers, but I believe that is the correct answer. I always like to see your choices, but if that is not one of your choices, please let me know in case maybe I did anything wrong in the problem. But I believe that's your answer there. X is greater than 7/4. And I would write these down so you get used to seeing how to do those. And then the last one you sent me is this one here about Death Valley, I think. Yeah, Death Valley, okay. Death Valley is a desert in Northern California with many places of interest. One such place is the Badwater Basin, and the elevation of that is minus or negative 282 feet. At another location at Salt Creek Trail, the elevation is, underline this, negative 220 feet. Write an inequality to compare the elevations and state which elevation is closer to sea level. So I want to kind of do a little illustration here. Let me move this to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, I want to kind of get your visual senses going here. So I'm going to make sea level. Okay, so sea level here, this is the sea, this is your water, this is sea level. You know, you can kind of envision the sun up here somewhere. Okay, so sea level is at the top of your water. The elevation for each of those places, one of them was a negative 282, which means it's 282 feet below sea level. All right, so we have one of these that's 282 feet below sea level. That's written as negative 282. If it was a positive 282, you'd be looking at going above the sea level. But that's not what we have here. We have negative numbers here. So this is 282. This means 282 feet below your sea level. Okay, the other location we were told was a negative 220 feet below sea level. So that's 220 feet below sea level. So that's going to be not quite as far down. That's going to be at negative 220 feet below sea level. So we're going to write 282 feet. And even though I'm writing it as 282 feet below sea level, you can see it looks at like a positive number here. You know that anything that's below sea level is like looking at a number line and going into your negative numbers below sea level. Okay, so both of those are below sea level. One of them is a negative 220 feet. The other is negative 282 feet. So we have to write a statement to represent this using an inequality sign. So there's two ways that you can actually write this, and I can't see your answers again, so I'm not really sure exactly which one they're asking for, so I'm going to write it both ways. But you can see that the question that they're asking you here is, let's see, how many, wait, where am I at? Write an inequality to compare the elevations right here and state which elevation is closer to sea level. Well, you can see that what's closer to sea level is this one right here, right? It's not as far away from the top of the sea. So this one is going to be closer to sea level. So that answers one part of the question. And how do we write this inequality? Well, thinking about negative numbers on a number line, if you could actually see that number line, let me just kind of jot it right here and say this is 0 and say this is negative 222. And let's say, let me get rid of this right here, make it a little bit longer and say this is negative 282. Okay, you can clearly see that negative 222 is closer to 0. So which number is greater? Well, the closer you get to 0, the greater that number, right? As I get up to here, I might be at negative 10 or something, right? But I'm getting closer to 0. So negative numbers have the opposite effect as positive numbers do. The smaller the number on the negative side, the closer to 0, the greater that number is. Okay, so let's write these statements. I'm going to choose a different color here. We'll just use purple. All right, so you could say negative 282 is less than negative 220. Or if they want you to write it this way, negative 220 with negative 282 on this side, then we would have to say it's greater than. So I'm not sure which in your answer selection they're asking for, whether it's this one or this one. But both of those are actually correct, so just pick the one that actually lines up with the answers that are given. All right, I hope this helps. If you need any further help with these, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Sounds like you're off to a good start in Algebra 2. I'm excited to be doing some problems with you because you know how much I love math. It's like recreation for me, and I actually kind of miss it. So hope to see you sometime soon. All right, Caden, have a great night. Bye.